It's Ben Harper, live at the Bridges Auditorium in Claremont, California. I'm Chris Doritas. We are backstage with Ben Harper at Ground Zero.
Hello.
You know, you really seem like you're most in your element, most alive when you're performing.
Yeah, I feel, as nervous as I get before I go on, it does feel like my element.
I mean, you've documented a lot of the live stuff you've done. You put out, 4 studio albums and 2 live recordings. One was like an import only,
Yeah.
but this one's now, you have a new live recording that's out. There's something about the live performance aspect that is as important or even more important than the recording process for you, it seems.
Yeah, when we go into the studio, we bring to life that song, and it becomes the song in its infant stage. It's the earliest stage of that song's life. And through tour, some songs don't translate, and some songs are mainly just studio, either experiments or ideas that come to life that don't go further than that, or I'll play them out acoustic, just a stripped down version. But the songs that do take a life or take on a life live, they grow, and and I think they progress and evolve in that they grow stronger. I think they get stronger, and we get more familiar with them and bring out ideas that a year down the line we wished we would have recorded.
So the original recording documented on the studio album is like the initial document, and then you give the song life and live performance, and you want to kind of catch that again, document that on these live recordings.
Exactly. And to go a step beyond that, we could, before we record a record, tour for a year, and then the song would... But when it's time to make a record, it's time to make a record, and also by the time this band tours for a year, the shows are all downloaded or all available on online, on the computer. So there would almost, if we toured a year with new material, everything would be downloaded, and there'd almost be no point in making the record, because it would be it's a strange position to be in.
Plus, there's something to be said about documenting the initial inspiration behind the song. So like hearing it in its infant stage like that.
Too, man. Just like, yeah, do it. Record it, get it down, give the song a life and a voice, and oftentimes you hear people complain. They'll say, well, the live show wasn't as good as the record. I went to see the live show, but it wasn't quite as good as the record, and we don't ever want that. But some people with us, it's been the opposite. They say, oh man, the record's okay, but the live show, you know what I mean? But I like it that way, because I'm super proud of every record and song we've recorded, and I want the live shows to be better. I want the live show to take it a step, 10 steps further than the recording, because that means you've got strong records and a strong live show.
It's got to hurt though, because you're such a sonic guy. Really careful about the sound of what you're doing. It's got to hurt when somebody says, "Wow, the live shows don't sound as good as a record."
Oh yeah, and I take it. I don't take it to heart, because I've heard live versions that couldn't stand up against the record versions, and I've heard live versions that blow the record versions away. So it just depends.
We had Taj Mahal on this show a few weeks ago, and he was talking about people don't see acoustic music in live performance anymore. It's like all so produced, so sort of mapped out, no real like live fervor, of the kind that we're seeing in your shows. Do you feel?
No, I love Taj. Taj is my heart. I mean, Taj is not only my heart, he's my hero. But there's all kinds of great acoustic music going on. I mean, there is. I mean, you know what I mean?
He's just not finding them, right? He's not seeing them.
Gomez, Beth Orton, Joseph Arthur, Elliott Smith. I mean, it's like mind-blowing how much really good stuff there is.
I think his point is that there are small cult followings for those folks, but they're not as, widely received and critically, or commercially embraced as some of the, the things that are on the charts and.
Yeah, understandable. It's not the commercial medium of the moment. True. But that'll probably even shift, as it all does. I mean, you've been in music long enough to where you've seen so many things come and go, hard, soft, you know what I mean? But you really, I mean, it's not even about, it's about making 10, 12 records and start getting a solid foundation with like 5 records, and then from there, using that as a springboard to make 5 or 6 more. That's really what it's about. That's the only thing it's about. It's not being, that's what happens a lot to commercial groups, like, they'll come along and, they're the next Beatles, and then they're done. You don't hear from them. They make 1 record, 2 records, and people put them on a pedestal and don't give them time to evolve, and then the pressure can be crushing in this business. It can be overwhelming. So I really tune all that out, and of course commercial success is fine, and it's accepted and it's acceptable, but you don't. You have to be able to block that out and make music first. And if that comes, it comes. And and it's worth working for. But even if you have a huge amount of commercial success, you can't let that define you. You still have to let the music define you as a group.
Well, I mean, that said, whether or not you had a record deal or, you'd be doing what you're doing anyhow.
Yeah, I would, definitely. And I hope that resonates through the music. But I don't want to come off as to sound like I'm some indie guy who doesn't care about money and I'm just doing it for the love of the art. I mean, that's all good, and I am doing it for the love of my art, but I'm also down to get paid. It's all, I mean, I'm straight with where I'm at personally and business-wise. But the bottom line is, as you say, I would be doing it anyway. And people say, well, what would you be doing if you weren't making music? I'd be saying, well, I'd be working any odd job I could to support myself making music.